My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jobs, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. My friend, welcome back to the show. Today with me is a beautiful woman, wonderful woman called Daniela. Now, Daniela is the type of woman that solves one problem. How do you do it all? How do you have it all and still be sane? Her heart is for women who are in corporate. You're a mother, you have children, and you have a job, and everyone expects you to do it all like, I don't know, Iron Lady and still be sane. But how do you really do that? She spent 17 years of her life breathing and living what she helps women with right now. And so I love Daniela's work because the best life really is not about the money and the promotions and everything. The best life is whatever you want it to be. And so I love her work because her work is basically the ticket to sanity. How do you achieve your best life? I love her because she's someone that's been there, done it, breathed it. So what we're going to learn from her is more like her tears, her sweat, her frustrations, and everything in between. Those are usually my best people. So my friend, if you are this corporate lady with a family to take care of, and you feel like there is not enough time in your day, you wake up every day going, where did the day go? This is your episode. Pull that tea, that water, whatever the thing is for you, and let's sit and learn from someone who's been there, done it, and now is on the other side saying, you don't have to spend 17 years to figure it out. The best thing you can do for us is pick a woman that you love, a woman that you adore, a woman that is making things happen, but doesn't have time for themselves. Doesn't seem to have a moment to breathe, to catch a tea. Your best friend who never sees you because they always have a meeting and they always have a family thing and the other thing. Who do you want to bless this morning or evening? Who do you want to watch this week? I'll leave it up to you. But it will be a woman that is making things happen, a woman that is amazing in everyone's life, but behind the scenes, she's not so great in her own life. She barely gets a minute to breathe, take a tea, sit with herself, take care of herself. And hopefully today you'll be the vessel to bless this woman and change her life for good. Daniela, welcome to the show. I am super excited to be chatting with you.
Thank you, Prima. I'm excited to be here as well.
When I was mumbling around the work you do, what are the important pieces that I left out that our conversation would be incomplete without you bringing those bits? Or what did I get wrong that you don't really do?
Well, it's been a long journey. Actually, I've been a social worker, licensed master social worker for the last 27 years. So I have been helping individuals, kids, families with how to cope, stress management, mindfulness, even mental illness, parenting, all sorts of things. So I've been doing that for a long, long time. Like you said, my own personal journey started about 17, 18 years ago. I had gone through a divorce. My kids were 4 and 6 months old. And so I was a single working mom trying to do it all, be it all. I wasn't great at asking for help at that point in time. I was so used to helping others, I didn't know how to help myself. And I unfortunately put myself in a place of burnout trying to do all of that. I was irritable. I was snapping at my kids more than I wanted to. And I realized that wasn't not only who I was, but who I wanted my kids to grow up knowing, who I wanted them to remember when they looked back. And I had a moment where I decided this was going to change. This wasn't going to stay the same. And it started very small. I started doing a daily gratitude practice. I started using the free childcare at the grocery store. And I realized by taking care of myself, not only did I show up better, but my kids did too. They were happier. My work was going better. It kind of traveled along all these different things. And people were coming to me and asking what I was doing, how was I managing these things, or sharing with me, hey, I took 20 minutes to go read rather than run errands during some free time they had. And I think we're all looking for that validation and permission that it's okay to take that time for ourselves.
It's crazy because there's a woman watching and going, wow, I wonder if this is the person that is going to answer my questions. And what I pick of you is if you find yourself putting yourself last, if you find yourself prioritizing serving everybody else, the people that report to you, your children, your husband, if you find yourself prioritizing everybody else and not taking a time to fill your own cup, you have it wrong. Because if you reversed it and put yourself first, then everybody else will be lifted. Is that accurate, or do I have it twisted as well?
Yeah. Absolutely. When we take the time to take care of ourselves every single day, and it is a daily necessity, just like eating, sleeping, and brushing our teeth, not only do we show up better, but our work is better. We're more productive. We're more creative. Our connections are stronger. We show up more energized, which is contagious, that energy that we bring to the room. And it does have that positive ripple effect all around.
And it's so hard to see this because you can find yourself doing everything, all things for everyone, your children, your husband, everybody, and you're like, why isn't this enough? Because you haven't considered the one person that needs help, which is you. And so today we are talking to the woman that doesn't know how to take care of herself, how to ask for help, how to fill her own cup, because that's where everything starts from. I love that you've created the best D life. And I love what I think about when I think about the best D life is more like having it all, doing it all, and yet keeping the one thing that matters, your sanity, creating time for you. Could you give us more context about your best D life and where that came from, or what you even envision it to do for women?
Yeah, your best D life, it was kind of initially a little bit of a play on the fact that my friends call me D. And, someone said to me once, she's like, I listened to my inner D when I did X, Y, and Z, but it can also be your best design life, your best de-stressed life, your best detangled life. Like you get to create that D in making your best, dang life possible. And so, you really are kind of in control. But I think where we start with that, how we have kind of gone away from that, I always start with when I'm coaching people as part of the Exhausted to Empowered formula. That's my signature system. We always start with our mindset, because I think we've been conditioned to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to believe, we have to hustle, we have to put people first, we have to keep pushing and going and exhausting ourselves in order to be validated, to be successful, to be all these other things. And so we always start with changing that mindset and the way we're thinking about our time and how we take care of ourselves. Because if we don't change that piece first, nothing else will matter.
I really love it because I used to call it a life on your terms, but then I started calling it a life by design. And when I read your work and you were like, you best dang life, I was like, this is so right. This is so resonant. I feel like we can go through life and feel like we don't have control of our own life. Isn't that crazy? We can go through life and feel like we are not in the driver's seat. Feel like somebody else is driving. We can go through life and feel like we have sacrificed our sanity for the success that we want, which I think is crazy, because all of these things you can be in control of. And I wanted you to go through this process of, I can't remember what the word was, but I think it is exhausted, because this is typical of a working mom with kids, a family to take care of, other things to do. It's typical that they just every day feel like they want to throw themselves off a building. Like, exhaustion until you feel like you fall off a tower. So from exhausted to empowered, where it's okay not to do everything, where it's okay to say this is not a right now thing. This can move to another day. These children can't wait to have what they want and not feel swallowed up by guilt. So I would love for you to go through that process, which I really think is beautiful. How you move a woman from exhausted to empowered, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the three pillars are your mindset, your time planning, and your self-care. So I absolutely, like I said, start with mindset, because when you think differently, you feel differently. And when you feel differently, you act differently. So we need to start with how you think, because if you just jump straight to the actions, you're still going to have that to-do list running in your head. You're still going to have that guilt in your head. You're still going to have, other people's judgment and expectations, unless you change that mindset piece first. So that's why we start there. We look at what are some of those limiting beliefs that get in your way of, a good mom, is always taking care of her kids. I should be working 35, 40 hours a week. I should, where do these come from? And to just even catch yourself when you start to hear them is that first place. Catch yourself when you hear that statement. Think about, where is that coming from? Was that something I was taught? Somebody said this to me when I was younger. Where did that come from? And think, if your best friend came to you and said some of those same statements, how would you respond to them? Would you be reinforcing them, or would you be kinder to them? Would you be giving them grace to be like, no, you need to take care of yourself. You need to do something good for you. What would you say to that friend? And learn to start taking that same action and saying those statements to yourself. You need to create new neural pathways in your brain for those thoughts to follow. And just like if you were going for a hike in the woods, the trail that you followed for years is going to be the easy one because it's worn down, the grass has been trampled on. When you're creating a new thought for your brain to travel, you're you need that same reinforcement and consistency to make it a well-worn path, just like the one that you've always followed for years. So we start with your mindset and getting rid of what I call, for me, the mean girls in my head, the ones that are not so kind, that say those negative, judgmental thoughts, and start to change the conversation, change that thought process, so that then when we get to the other two pieces of your time planning and your self-care, you are now saying more supportive statements of what you're doing. You have that thought that's going to help you to feel and really take that passionate action, not just going through the motions. So that mindset is that first piece. Next, we get into your time planning. Unfortunately, I think in today's society, everything is thought to be important and urgent. We get a ding on our phone. Oops, I got to check that out. We get an email. Oops, I got to go respond to that right away. And when we treat everything as important and urgent, nothing becomes important and urgent. And unfortunately, we get tossed to the end of the line in that case. And so we look at really prioritizing what matters in your day, what's important and urgent, what's important but not urgent, what's urgent but not important, and then what's completely unurgent, unimportant, and needs to be wiped off your day completely. And once we really start to put tasks into those different areas, it's through the Eisenhower Matrix, you can really start to not only prioritize, but also delegate, also really be able to have some structure so that everything isn't a do now. Maybe something could be done tomorrow. Maybe something could be done by somebody else. Maybe, it does need to happen today, and you're going to block out that time for it. And we do some time blocking, and everyone has their own way of doing it. Some people are super structured. Some people are a little more laid back and boho and relaxed, and that's okay. But finding what works for you so that you not only know what's going to happen each day, but when it's going to happen. When are you your most productive? When do you work best? Are you a morning person? Are you a midday person? Are you a night person? So that you schedule those tasks that require a lot of mental bandwidth at that important time, as well as putting some buffer time in. So you're not stacking, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going there. By allowing some space in between those different activities, you allow life to happen. Sometimes things don't go as planned. You get stuck in traffic, you spill your coffee on the way out the door. Life's going to happen. And so when you allow that buffer time, when you plan that in, you don't get as stressed because you know you've got the space, because life's going to happen either way. So at least you have that space to deal with it and not feel late, as well as say nothing happens, everything goes according to plan. Great. Now you've got 10, 15 minutes free to yourself to do something to take care of yourself. And so then when we start to talk about self-care, it's not, just the spa days and massages and bubble baths, which are nice, but that's not going to happen on a regular basis. And self-care needs to happen every day throughout your day. It's kind of like charging your cell phone. We're so cognizant of where's my cord? I got to charge my phone. I've only got 20% left on my battery. But we need to have that same awareness of our own energy levels, our own recharge. So when we plan our time, we're not only planning those business priorities, but we're planning our personal priorities as well and what needs to happen. So that self-care, it's more a practical daily self-care. So it's everything from how you eat, how you sleep, how you move, how you connect with others, how you dress, how you decorate and organize your home, how you think about money, as well as, yes, that traditional personal development of meditation, mindfulness, journaling, all those types of things. And when you see it from these different areas, there's so many ways you can integrate it. And sometimes even as small as I help clients develop even a 1-minute practice when they first start with me. So there's really so many ways you can now start using these kind of buffers times to integrate that self-care throughout your day and really put the preventative factors against burnout in place. And I know that was a lot.
No. I love it. And I'm about to bounce it back to you so you can kind of see if I got it. But I'm not clear about the mindset piece, because it seems to be moving more from mindset into the programming and patterns. So are there specific tools you use to help people recreate or erase old patterns to create new ones? Because I feel like this is more than mindset into the programming and patterns and really clearing that subconscious and what it's making up. Or is it a different way? Am I getting that right? It seems to me it's more than mindset and more into really the subconscious and what's stored there and creating a new reality for the person.
Absolutely. Your mindset is the perspective that you give everything. It's the way that you look at any situation. So it is that subconscious pre-programming of those, again, beliefs about society, about women, about jobs, about motherhood, and all those kind of things. And so we are changing those subconscious beliefs. And it does take some time and it does take some practice. It's not a one and done overnight kind of thing. Like I said, just creating a new trail in the woods, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain, and you're creating a new path for your thoughts to travel down. And some of it, you don't even start necessarily saying, okay, I'm going to stop thinking this. I'm going to not think this anymore. Just because, unfortunately, the way we're wired, if I said, don't think about pink elephants, you're going to think of a pink elephant right now. So you think about what you don't want to do. But if we can create a new pattern as far as, instead of that being the sole thought that takes up 100% of your brain, you might still have that occasional negative thought, but now you've added 5 or 6 more positive thoughts on top of it. So the percentage of space it takes up in your brain, this percentage of time you are focused on that negative versus the positive, is where you begin to reinforce that positiveness in creating that new thought pattern.
I love it. What I'd like to do is bounce back what I think I understood, how you do what you do, and you can kind of tell me how I'm doing in that moment. Fair enough?
Yeah.
The first thing really that we need to take care of is what's happening upstairs. And what I understand you do is you really help the human being create a new lens.
Yes.
So how do you interpret what's happening? How do you interpret? What's your definition of being a good mother? What's your definition of being a good employee? What is your definition of being a good friend? Some of those things need rephrasing. What is your lens of the world? Like, whatever the lens is determining or deciding how much you get to do, for what reasons you get to do them. And that is how you wake up and go, where did my day go? Because of how you interpret. What is your definition of no? Because no is a no. Like, if someone asks you to do something and you go no, What's your relationship with that? Are you the kind of person that says no with like an hour explanation, or do you say no and move on? You know, like the first thing is to reframe with the lens you have of the world and how you interpret the things that you seem to be, you know, attaching meaning. Like, why does this thing have to mean that? I think that's the first place, clearing what's happening in the mind, clearing that self-talk. I didn't see my baby go to sleep, so I'm a bad mother. Really? Maybe you're not, you know, maybe you're just a mother who got carried away cooking. I don't know. Like, what is your lens of the world and how can we shape that? And I do believe that Daniela has tools to help with that process, removing the blogs, I don't know, the cogs, it's like a pipe, you know, the pipe is supposed to take water from the sink to the drainage. But if it's full of foodstuffs, it's going to have a problem going through. So what are those clogs in your plumbing system that need to go out? The second thing that I understood is time. Everyone has the same amount of time in the day. What needs to go, what needs to be done by somebody else. How can you get yourself off the drip? What's urgent but really not important right now? Like that prioritization process, I feel that has been the life changer for me. No, just getting myself off the drip. A new email, so what? A new social media notification, so what? Somebody commented on my post, so what? All those are things, but they don't have to be acted on right now. My phone is ringing, so like those small things, I think for me have been the life changer. Knowing that my phone doesn't have to have a ringtone and I don't have to answer everybody who's trying to call me. Knowing that I can still function without notifications of any kind on my laptop, on my phone, in my life. And so I love this time management piece because it's really less of a time management and more of a prioritization piece. Does this thing have to be done right now? Does it have to be done by you? Does it have to be done at all? I love that piece. And then self-care is really whatever that looks like to me. Whatever
And
that
it changes every person, every day.
Yeah. For me, self-care looks like knowing I have 10 people to record and consciously taking a minute after every person, stretch my body and take care of my back because I do have a back problem. And so what does self-care mean to you? And how can you feed more into yourself? Maybe for someone, it's reading a verse. Maybe for another person, it's doing nothing, you know? My husband loves to sit there and do nothing. He just sits on TikTok and scroll through meaninglessly. And I'm like, really, how is that helping? He's like, leave me alone. You know, what does self-care look like to you? And how can you do that? So far, how am I doing?
Either.
How far am I doing? How am I doing? What did I leave out that needs to be added?
You've got it, Prima. You've got it nailed. You know, it's those three pieces and they work together. And it's always a work in progress. You know, it's like I said, we're always growing, we're always developing. They always say, what, new level, new devil. You know, when you've mastered one thing, you know, you've up leveled in your life in one way, sometimes something else comes up. So we're constantly revisiting our mindset, working on our time planning, because every day is going to look different. Sometimes we are a little bit heavier into our work season. Sometimes we're a little bit heavier into family, and that's still okay. You know, when I talk about work-life balance, and not everybody loves the word balance, but you know, whether it's work-life flow, work-life harmony, it's not about everything being equal. I believe you can find that balance from your ability to adapt, pivot, have resilience and boundaries. And those four pieces is how you create your own sense of personal work life, again, balance, flow, harmony, whatever word you choose to use.
What is your best life? If you're not happy where you are, go back. Do I need to do more of the mind work? Is it the mind? Do I need to do more of the time piece? Do I need to do more of the self-care piece? Whichever one you feel you need to up, you go do that. But also recognizing that there is seasons and times, and sometimes you just need to go all in on something. It's super, super beautiful. If I was a woman that was on the drip, you know, my social media pings and my phone rings and my child cries and blah, 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 and every day I wake up going, at the end of every day, I'm tired like a joke. And I'm like, oh my God, where did the day go? You know, what should I do today as one tangible, practical thing to see a better tomorrow?
Absolutely. And definitely give yourself the grace to start small. So if you want to do one thing today for yourself that's going to start to move the needle, I always work with clients to start with, you're going to set a timer on your phone for 1 minute. Okay, so set that reminder, have it go off for 1 minute. And for that 1 minute, you're not on your phone. You're not going to put the laundry in. You're just going to sit there for 1 minute. Maybe grab a glass of water, hydrate, do some breathing. There's box breathing where you do 4-second hold, 4-second in, 4-second hold, 4-second out. That breathing, some shoulder shrugs, things like that, just for 1 minute. And a minute can feel like a long time when you're not multitasking and doing other things. And just that 1 minute will decrease your cortisol levels. You start to get those positive releases from knowing you set a goal and you accomplished it. Even if you say set that reminder 5 times a day, we've all got 1 minute, 5 times a day. Now you have a 5-minute self-care practice. Again, you're achieving a goal, that accomplishment, those positive benefits, decreasing cortisol levels, lowering your stress levels, lowering all sorts of, your heart rate and those types of things. You're going to slowly start to see the benefits just from that 1 minute practice that you start to implement in your day. And so that's really something quick and tangible and easy that you can start to do right now.
I really love that because people that we see as the busiest, maybe the president of wherever the state you're from, create time to work out. So like, where do they get that time? We all have a minute. We all have 30 minutes in the day. If we could be intentional, and I love the alarm because sometimes I personally will record, and then the second I'm off, I'm like, oh my God, I need to fix a meal. And then, oh my God, I need to stretch. Oh my God. And I feel like I have not sat, and I intentionally brought like a bed in my workspace and told myself, okay, you need to lie down sometimes and do nothing in the day just to give that time to yourself. And I still go through the day and I haven't laid down. And I think that this is my lesson as well, to use the bench, because I brought it in because I felt like I had a way of just doing things and the day would end and I'd be like, wait, like I didn't even stop,
Yeah.
I was cooking and then I was doing my dishes and then I was doing this. This is really good.
When you schedule it, it's absolutely more prone to happen. Just that alarm for 1 minute, it's going to kind of stop our train of thought, because I don't know about you, but my brain is a runaway train sometimes. Like you said, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. And it's off in its own directions versus, nope, this is what I meant to do. This is what I want to do. And we need to take that space to do that.
That's really helpful because I'll be trying it as well. I would love for you to kind of walk me through what can happen for you when you embrace this, because I know you've done it for 17 years. I know you've worked with a ton of clients. So walk me through what is possible, because it can look like a very small thing. It can look like too simple to implement. It can look like I need a whole course on productivity, but really it can also be, what about just talk? What about create a drop-off list and take things off? What about just don't do that thing? Let somebody else. It can be as simple as being intentional, but it can also be as complicated as I need 10 coaches and 100 courses, to be a better human. And oh my God, I need to be better. And, give me kind of what's possible from your own experience and from your clients. I for one, when I discovered that I didn't need to be on that drip to survive, I saved 6 hours and my life has never been the same. Like I moved from, oh my God, my phone is ringing. Oh my God, social media ping. Oh my God, my email. Oh my God, oh my God. When I was in my job, I had pings and pings and pings and pings because I worked in the call center for a long time. And it had to be like a phone rings, you have to pick it. An email comes in, you have to respond to it. And so I was always reacting to everything. And then I recall leaving this job and going, okay, now I don't have to pick the phone. Now I don't have to see the email. And I made it very intentional that I had no ringtone, no notification, and just not having a notification of any sort. I can't begin to tell you how it's drastically changed my life. Just having, not knowing when someone rings, when someone emails me, not knowing when things, like not having the pings going on. For me, it's been the difference between losing my head and feeling like I'm in the driver's seat of my life. I am making this life. I am being the person that I need to be. I don't know how to explain that. But what's possible from your experience?
And I love even the example you share, the fact that you start simple, turning your radar off. You know, I think in general, starting simple is going to be the key. We all think it needs to be this big, like, oh, I'm going to go, you know, for a workout. I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every day. I'm going to do all these big plans. The harder it is to maintain. So if you start small and you start simple and you build on it, that's actually going to help set you up for success, because it's more likely to happen in that way. It takes time and practice to build some of these larger things. Like for me, I start with my morning routine every single day. And it's about the consistency of the fact that it happens, even if it looks different every single day. Some mornings I might have, 20 minutes to move, 10 minutes to meditate, I'll have some time for my coffee. Other minutes I'm a little bit more rushed, so I might do a 10-minute yoga routine, a 4-minute meditation. Sometimes I just take a walk down to the end of my driveway and back, but I moved. I did my morning routine. I had that intentional time and space for myself at the beginning of my day, and that intention of what I chose to do, and not just, oh, it happened, but I kind of reframe using that mindset piece of I had control and I chose that, is where some of that benefit comes in. The end of my day is the same thing. My nighttime routine is very consistent. I do my skincare, I read an actual book. Sometimes it's 3 sentences, sometimes it's 3 pages, but it's going to happen consistently. And so, helping people find those moments that work for them. I have a friend, she talks to her sister on her drive into work every day. And so she's carved out that time and that intention, and to see it, that's part of her connection. That's part of her self-care. I go for a walk on my lunch hour. I have another friend, I just lost my train of thought. There's just different, people I've worked with, finding those things that work for you and might look different on a day-to-day basis, but building that toolkit of self-care. Even, like I said, holding your coffee in the morning is the beginning of a mindfulness practice, because you use your senses. You feel the warmth of the cup, you smell it, you savor it, you can hear the coffee pot, percolating and things like that. Once you start taking just a pause and incorporating those senses and savoring that moment, you've now incorporated some self-care. And like I said, it's not always these massive moments, like I said, like a long spa day where you're like, okay, now I'm relaxed. You can't do it just, once on a weekend and think it's going to last all week. That's like eating on Sunday and thinking you won't be hungry by Tuesday. So finding these smaller bite-sized morsels and moments to enjoy throughout your day. Keep your cortisol levels low, keep your stress levels low, so that when life happens, you have the moment to respond rather than react. And that's so key when it comes to recognizing, how is this helping me? How am I benefiting? So many times we react, we fly off the handle, we say things we don't mean, and then we have to backpedal and clean that up. Versus when we're in more of a chronic state of calm and relax. And like I said, it's so subtle, sometimes we don't notice it. But then we know we can respond in a bad situation and be more intentional in what we're going to say and do. That's where we can really start to see some of those benefits as well.
I really like it, because I've never thought about it like this. I could definitely use more help, get better. But when I wake up, before I sleep, the thing is more like, what answers am I looking for? And I tell my mind the answers I'm looking for answers to X, Y, Z. And when I sleep, I cover my face with like a blinder, because I really need it really dark. And so that's something I do. I cover my my head so I'm not distracted. And
It's
then
a
when I
good,
wake up, the first thing I do is, oh, where are my answers? I asked now where are my answers. And so I kind of begin to think, are the answers popping up? And then I write. I'm more like
Mhm.
kind of write down what is coming up. And usually I have told myself the first thing I'm going to do is go to the balcony and see the sun. For some reason, it just works. I see the sun. And then off of that, I want to have like a hot drink before I
Mhm.
touch my laptop, touch my device, or anything outside. In fact, when I go to bed, my husband always laughs at me because my phone is locked away either in the wardrobe because I
Mhm.
need to hear the, I don't know, the alarm, or it's in the living room. And I go, if
Yeah.
my body is not ready to wake up, it's not slept enough. And so I'm getting to a place where I don't need an alarm, where my body has to go through 8 hours to kind of go, all right, you've slept enough, wake up. And I think that everyone has what works for them. But that has really given me the ability to go through fire and just stay calm. It's
Mhm.
crazy that my house could be on fire and I will think, what do I need to pick up? A passport? And there could be fire there. And I'm thinking, oh, my passport, my phone, my laptop. Like that's how I probably would be thinking, or a baby to save, or like I'm not going to, oh my God, I'm not going to react and push out. And like I'm going to go, okay, if this thing burnt down, what is so important that I need? And I'll probably be picking up one thing that will get me through on the other side, which is unheard of for people because the first thing is, oh my God, cream, get out. And then you're like, oh my God, I have nothing. I don't know. But I think it really helps when you can find what works for you and try and make it a part of your auto. I think I am on autopilot, but for the things that I've chosen, because I don't think about it, that's just how I wake up. And I definitely think I could do better.
But I think the fact that you said it's on autopilot means you've practiced it enough that you don't
Mm,
have to think about it, which is how we build these habits. And
mm,
then as we start to stack these habits on top of themselves, is
mm,
how we create that consistency throughout our day of different self-care. You know, you start with your thoughts, you add different actions, and you
mm,
build these systems and habits on autopilot that, like you said, now
mm.
you're just in general, this is how you live.
Is there anything we've left out that would be very key before we jump into your offers? Because I want to talk about what you offer, how you support people. But is there any piece that you feel we need to touch before we cross over to the other side?
I guess the last thing I would add is just grace, you know,
Mm,
that progress over perfection. I think so many times we either are always striving for perfection as adults. It seems like unless we're really good at stuff, we're afraid to try it. We're afraid to
mm,
keep doing it because we're like, oh, I'm not good at that, versus giving yourself the grace to be bad at it. Give yourself the grace to learn and be okay with not being perfect at it. You know, I might play golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I play golf and it's fun and I like it. And that's okay. You know, when you're starting these practices and you're doing different activities, just give yourself the grace to be human and have fun and enjoy it.
sometimes we forget that it's okay to be a human being. Sometimes we
Yeah.
forget that. And I love that reminder. I know you support people, Daniela, behind the scenes with these things, building the best D life. And so I want you to talk more to that. In what capacity do you help people?
Absolutely. So I have at the smallest level, I have some free resources. I also have a digital course, Time Takeover Micro Course. It's a micro course that helps you start that time planning. The modules are like less than 10 minutes each. There's an audio only if you just like to listen to stuff. And it helps you start to reprioritize your day, your time, your activities, lay it out in a way that's going to work for you and help you start to build that time piece of it. I also do one-to-one coaching. It's the
Mm.
exhaustive empowered formula where I work hand in hand with you for 3 months to build that mindset, time planning, and self-care piece, as well as I come in and do corporate speaking and training. So it's not just for the individuals and the business owners, but to help that corporate culture, your job of creating that environment of wellness and well-being.
I love it. So if you feel, and this is gonna be how you know, this podcast attracts people that are called for more. It's a calling on your name for more, whether
Mhm.
it's more of what you're doing or just the next level. There's just a calling on your name for more, but you just don't know the how. And if Daniela is your expert, as we spoke, you just felt that connection. You just felt it in your bone marrow that this is where you need to be. And that is because that's how this podcast works. Some experts won't be for you, but some experts will. And if this is your expert, you just know it in your bone marrow that you need to take a step. And so the reason I exist is to say, if you're feeling the connection, if you're feeling the thrills, if you're feeling the connection or the calling to lean in, that's because it's designed to be like that. So what I would love to suggest, Daniela, if you're open to it, is that we allow people to book a call where you can speak to them and kind of see where they are at so that you can personally see which of the levels that you support them is going to be the best for the individual. Is that something you would be willing to do?
Oh, absolutely. On my Instagram link in bio, there's a link to book a free framework focus call with me where we look at that whole framework and see where you're nailing it, because there's going to be areas you're doing great in and what areas might need a little bit more support. And you're going to walk away even just from that one call with some structure around what that area is and what is at least one action step you can take in that area.
So there is a chance to even try it before you get involved. So I wouldn't say otherwise. Jump in, book a call with Daniela, experience the work, and decide after that if you want to move forward into her extended offers or not. Daniela, we are winding up. We're getting to the end of it. What would be your last words of wisdom for a woman that wants it all, wants to do it all, but still wants to stay sane in the process?
That it doesn't have to be it all. I think just because we can do it all doesn't mean we should,
we should
or that
do it.
we have to. So just because you're capable of it, to give yourself the grace to enjoy each and every day, to find those 3 things that make you smile each day, that gratitude, and to be able to start rechanging the rhythm and the flow of your day-to-day life.
I love it. I love to say that a life on your terms, a life by design is a choice. A life on design is hard. A life on autopilot is hard. So choose your heart. Like, there's nothing that is going to be easy, but choose your heart. But I do believe that sincerely, you can be the person driving the car that is driving your life. You can be the person that has written the movie of their life. It's possible that you can be in control of all of these things. But what I believe and what I think needs to happen is you need to make the choice. Everything you choose is practically going to be hard. So I wish or hope that you get to choose your hard wisely. The biggest and grandest gesture you can do for the work on my heart, for this platform, for Daniela's work, is to pause and find one lady that you love and would love to see flourish. One lady that you would love to see thriving in their best day life. Who is that? Who do you love so much? Who do you care about so much that you would love to gift them with this episode? I am believing in you to be the vessel for this message. And so that's the biggest thing you can do, really. Pause, check in your phone, check in your private spaces, and find the one person that you want to love on and you want to celebrate today, and just invite them into this conversation. Is it their WhatsApp? Is it their Voxer? Is it their Telegram? Whatever place you're connected with them is, WhatsApp, anything. You share with them this and let them grab the episode and get an opportunity to meet Daniela. And if you're watching this because somebody was kind enough to invite you in, let us not see you as the person who broke the string, because this is a string. And my hope is that just as somebody else thought about you, you're going to think about somebody else and share this message. That's the premise of the podcast. That is the best advertising that I know to do. Human beings sharing what means to them, what helps them with other human beings. This platform exists solely to give the how to those that are called for more. And you who is listening are a vessel to the message. And so everything you can do to get this message in front of the person whose life depends on it will be more helpful than you can think. Of course, grab your app, subscribe, share, follow, review, comment, do anything that the platform allows you to do, because doing that really supports this work more than any money you could donate. So I'm trusting you to do this because I believe this platform is being built by me, by the speakers, but also by you who is listening and choosing to build the platform. I appreciate you. I hope you'll have a beautiful day. And I will see you very soon with yet another messenger that carries the how for those that are called for more, but I have no idea how to get there. I'll see you soon. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.